Andrew, last time we were together was during the COP28 summit in Dubai, where I came to visit you on your ship, which was perched very interestingly between a mega yacht owned by a Russian oligarch and another mega yacht owned by one of the Emirati wealthy families. Yours was not quite as grand, although in some ways was more interesting. Can you tell us just a little bit about it? And where is it now?
Mine's much more lovable. Thank you, Vijay. I really appreciate your very lively presentation. I could not agree with Emma more. As you know, I'm going to challenge this word net because I think it's basically unbankable for every economist or financier.
So we'll come to that in a minute.
In the audience. But that ship, Vijay, which you were on, thank you for coming on board, because not everyone was loved if they went on board that ship, because we're smack in the middle of an oil and gas epicenter. And that ship is a green ammonia ship. That ship is, please go and see it, ladies and gentlemen. It's at your Canary Wharf. It wedged into the London docks. It's a 76-metre ship. The turning circle was just a metre either side. So your Coast Guard and your maritime authorities just did such a great job getting that ship in there, and it's now standing larger than life to prove to the International Maritime Organization that green shipping is here.
So it's powered by?
Ammonia, sir.
Right.
Which is a vector for hydrogen.
When you make it cleanly, it becomes a clean fuel for shipping, is your point?
Yes. So I took Sylvia Earle, the great biologist, ecologist, onto the ship, and she's no nonsense, this lady, as you know, she's tough. She said, "Show me the smokestack."
Right.
I said, "What, the smokestack?" And she said, "Yeah, I want to see the smokestack. I mean, I'm sure this is just a normal stock standard greenwash, but you are a scientist, Forrest, so I'm going to give you a chance. Show me the smokestack."
Right.
And so I said, "Oh, okay." So we took her up to the back of the ship, and she looked at this little pipe and she said, "It's a teardropper." Because you don't need a smokestack when you're not emitting smoke. And so we emit some nitrogen out of there, which is pretty good for plants, Vijay. And that's it.
Yeah. So obviously you're trying to make a point with that, and so it's very interesting. I encourage any of you who can make it out there to go check it out. The bigger point, though, is you are trying to show that even in the hard-to-abate sectors like yours, you're obviously in mining and with electrical equipment, with hydrogen, you're trying to show that you can transform even the toughest of industries. Give us a little sense of what is the motivation. What do you mean by taking on net zero? Now, there are people who are taking on net zero from the other side of the ideological divide, saying it's rubbish, we shouldn't be doing it. You're challenging net zero for a different reason. Tell us what you mean by your criticism of net zero.
Yeah, look, thank you, Vijay. Look, the word net, just look at how something got shoved into the lexicon by the oil and gas sector for them to come to the table to agree to some form of global agreement to not destroy the planet. Very nice of them. But it doesn't do anything. You can see accelerating emissions at an accelerating rate since we started the whole COP process. It's got worse in the last couple of years, except for COVID. Now, we're not going to live in a lockdown. Humanity's going to advance. So those emissions with this out clause, this weasel word, which bankers love and financiers love and middlemen love because they trade in them. But for company directors who are responsible and think a bit over the horizon at their legal liability that they're doing what Fortescue used to do, Vijay.
Yeah.
Spend tens of millions of dollars buying offsets and credits instead of just switching off your fossil fuel. And it's going to blow back because
so your
they're going
point
to come
is
back and be told they didn't save any carbon.
Make the cuts in emissions. Don't count on direct air capture or sequestration or trading forestry credits and so on. Your answer is real zero, as it were.
Real zero, Vijay. To stop burning fossil fuel, it will catalyst all those other things which Emma spoke of, and it can be done. It's bankable. We're going to stop destroying 1.2 billion a year.
Tell us how you're doing it. We saw some of the images. The audience had a chance to see. You have these massive mining operations. Historically, they're diesel intensive. They have you're the locos, you have the diggers, you have the big heavy equipment. How are you going to transform that? What are you doing already, and on what timeline?
Thank you, Vijay. So, as you say, you trust someone completely by what they do, mostly by what they say. We agree. But what the video shows is just some raw proof. I can't take you down to the Pilbara. It's the biggest iron ore operation in the planet. But you can see here in London Dockyards the first green ammonia, which is a hydrogen ship. You'll see the first trains, the first trucks where the hubcap comes up to here. The first diggers. The diggers are absolutely enormous, biggest in the world. Drillers, everything. Everything is fully automated. These trucks go around the world 1.5 times every day, automated. And by 2030, they'll go around the world probably twice a day, but zero pollution. The trains
Because they're electrified. That's the point, is it? Or they're hydrogen. What are you doing?
So really, really great point. Again, back to Emma. We're going electrical because it's quick and because mobility is very easy to electrify. Even these trucks, they've got to go 6 hours with 300 tons on their back,
right,
non-stop, and then we're going to charge them in 30 minutes.
Right.
Like we charge racing cars in less than 30 seconds now, Vijay. So we're going electrical. But what I loved about what Emma was saying is that there are really big solutions coming. Everyone thinks that hydrogen's too expensive. Well, as we make it now, sure it is. We're going to bring technologies into the market which is going to collapse the cost of hydrogen.
Give an example.
Well, we will give you an example. We're working with North African countries right now to harvest their solar at much less than the current lithium solar panel, convert it from electron to a molecule through an electrolyzer, which allows an impurity. That impurity is perfectly acceptable to the environment, no impact at all.
So this is a green hydrogen you're talking about?
It's a type of green hydrogen, but we call it an industrial hydrogen, 100% green, Vijay.
Right.
Much, much cheaper to make. The electrolyzer itself is, in 2022, the size of this yellow panel. In 2024, we dropped to about from here. Now the electrolyzer is the size of this chair.
Right.
Simplicity, the genius of simplicity. You know the capital cost of that thing's coming right down.
To try to capture this, you are committing to eliminating fossil fuels from your operations by 2030, as I understand it.
Yes, sir.
Which is a significant thing out in the middle of nowhere as you are. You're electrifying or using hydrogens, alternative fuels, clean fuels. You're developing not only the fuels, I think you have large solar farms and using machine learning and AI to run them in an efficient way, optimized way, but you're also helping spur the development of these technologies, whether it's electrolyzers or some of the other technologies that would support this. That's the game plan, as I understand it. Is that right?
Look, it absolutely is. We use Fortescue, which is a massive industrial group. It's Australia's highest return to shareholders in its stock exchange history. It's got a bulletproof balance sheet. We're using that company to demonstrate to the Europeans, to the Chinese, that using renewable energy with a very low cost of hydrogen gives you, for the first time, Vijay, massive scale industry, massive scale grids, like the electricity grids of Britain, the ability to bring in intermittent energy, but 24/7 base load power, because you can run your gas turbines like we're about to start at Fortescue on this type of hydrogen instead of LNG, which is a deep poison to the environment. So I want to see this tech used to strip the oxygen molecule out of iron ore, so we can send to China pure green iron. Away goes the pollution over those cities, which is they're being polluted by.
This is a beautiful vision. Like Emma's vision was beautiful, but she had a lot of charts to back it up and numbers, so we're supposed to believe her. She's got numbers. In your case,
it's in the video.
It's in the video. I know. I wouldn't let him show. He wanted to show it a 1.5-minute PR promo video. I said we don't do that at the Economist. People can look at the pretty pictures and then we'll talk. We'll talk. It's much more interesting.
This is the Economist, Andrew.
Exactly. And so being the Economist, I'm going to ask you a couple of tough questions. First, 2030 seems a little ambitious, but fine. I'll give you that one. We'll come back in 2030 and we'll talk if you've made it. But the cost, I do want to push you, as I did pushed Emma a little bit. There are costs of transition. This isn't for free. You're spending money on various forms of innovation that take some effort. And you've had some pushback from investors. Your company is publicly listed. You have investors who want quarterly and annual returns. So how do you answer the question of payback? She's talking about societal payback over long term. She's taken till 2050. She's give me more of the blanket over here. You're saying I only want a little bit of the blanket. 2030, and you've got people on your back. You're a financial guy. You're a billionaire. You're Australia's, should we say, what? Elon Musk?
Oh, you're Thank you for being so kind.
Yes, exactly. So,
Vijay,
disruptor in chief over there. How do the numbers work on this?
Okay. Well, firstly, I do things for the passion I have for the planet. We're giving our wealth away. Second, Vijay, that timeline thing you talked about, that this operation shifts nearly 800 million tonnes a year and transports 200 million tonnes around the world. It's a very complex operation. It's run by a system of electronic control rooms. Each one of the chief operators of those control rooms now, I'm walking into their operation centres in 2029 and saying, show me the energy circuits. And if any of those energy circuits have oil and gas going into them, I'm going to switch off those control rooms. Everyone across site knows it. Their control rooms will be switched off. They will go dark. Black operation. So it's binary for all of us. They know that is going to happen. Secondly, cost. It's costing $6.2 billion US. Okay, that's not chopped liver. But nor is the billion litres of diesel equivalent, or here in Britain, 400 plus million gallons a year we burn. We smoke that into the atmosphere. We get nothing for it apart from poisoning the kids. That's it.
Okay.
Now, we stop, Emma, using the word net, and we just stop using fossil fuels, which is what we call real. And we have that 1.2 billion to amortize to repay that 6.2 billion. We're going to repay this loan fully.
So the avoided cost of fossil fuels is part of the explanation, and presumably also the volatility in those fuel prices compared to renewables, which are not.
Exactly.
So that's part of where you get your payback.
But a couple more things. So sure, we avoid that cost, but secondly, we pay off that loan. We can finance 100%. Bankers love it, Emma. And because they can measure it, you can't measure net. What the hell is net, right? No one knows. It's a collywog. But they can measure, okay, you stop burning fossil fuels. What do you save? Then what have you got at the end of the day? We haven't just saved that 1.2 billion. We've got a huge green energy company, which is going to serve our shareholders and other companies for generations, paid off.
Okay. So you've got a plan. I have one other question, again, in the spirit of challenge. Doesn't the Trump administration and some of the global setbacks that may come on hydrogen, where you're making a big bet, give you some pause? I was in Phoenix just a couple of days ago, where you were meant to have your biggest investment in the U.S., if I recall correctly. It was certainly a big investment in hydrogen. And I was told, with the policy uncertainty, things are rolling back a bit. We're not pushing ahead on that. So aren't there setbacks that are coming that could slow you down?
So we've got billions of dollars of projects in North America, which are waiting for clarity of this administration. And if it goes the wrong way, we press the off switch.
Okay.
And all those jobs and all that employment and all that investment will not happen in North America. It's going to happen, Vijay.
Where's it going to go? What would you do? Would you switch the investment to somewhere else? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I think North Africa, closer to Europe.
I see.
But we're going to switch it straight away. We've got these technologies to make hydrogen cheaply, to make solar energy cheaply. We're going to use this. And just on the White House. So I don't mind who anyone elects. I have to deal with their elected representative. Love them or hate them, I'm going to deal with them. That's what the people chose. If you're a dictator like Putin, then I'm not going to deal with you at all, because you're not elected at whatsoever. But they are elected. So I'm going to simply say, I don't care if you believe in climate change. I don't care if you hate green. I don't care what turns you on, baby. But I know this. I know this. You're going to be driven by economics. Okay? And your drill, baby, drill is going to get wiped out with build, baby, build.
I love it. I don't think there's a better point to end on. Andrew Forrest, thank you. Give him a nice round of applause, people. Thank you for coming.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Please.